Good evening, and I'm here live from the farm protest. They have set up their stage just outside the Shelbourne Hotel on St. Stephen's Green, and earlier on you may have listened to the live feed that I did. There's definitely huge farm anger here. Farmers are very, very, very angry about the situation at the minute, and there's over 400 tractors have arrived here in Dublin for this protest, and they have issued an ultimatum to Leo Varadkar. They have asked that he meet with them tomorrow, and if he doesn't meet with them, then they're promising that there will be consequences. So I'm going to speak to two people. The first person I'm going to speak to is Brendan Kelly from Galway, and Brendan is the former chair of the Independent Farmers of Ireland. So Brendan, we've spoken on a number of occasions.
Yeah.
And you were very involved back in September in the protest that took place at the factory gate.
Yeah, we've been involved from the very beginning. We've been involved at the coalface from the very beginning in the protest.
And why are farmers angry? You know, what makes a farmer from Mayo, for example, get on a tractor and come the whole way to Dublin?
Because nothing has changed. The price of cattle hasn't gone up, and it's the same thing. It's the same thing, and nothing can change. And we stood down from the protests. We stood down to allow people to go into these task force talks. We've great faith in that, but we now see that these task force talks, they're a sham. They're doomed failure for the simple reason that some of the stakeholders aren't actually allowed in to the beef plan talks.
And who are the stakeholders not allowed in?
Well, the IFOI aren't allowed in. The mediators that's representing the Independent Farmers of Ireland are not allowed in at the moment.
Right. And so can you just tell people who are watching in and don't know really what's happening? Basically what happened was, following the first round of protests that took place in August, beef task force was set up, and a number of farm organisations were invited to be part of that beef task force. That includes the IFA, the Irish Farmers Association, which would be the largest farm body in the country representing farmers, then the ICSA, Irish Cattle and Sheep Farmers Association, Beef Plan, the Macrona Ferma. So these are the bodies that were invited by Minister Creed to become part of the Beef Task Force, and the function of that was to discuss the issues that farmers are really incensed about. And what Brendan is saying here is that the farmers who were protesting at the factory gates, who had organised themselves into a new group called Independent Farmers of Ireland, they have been locked out of the talks. So, are you hopeful that this massive protest that's taking place, which has shut down, I suppose, the centre of Dublin today, it's leaving Dublin people that are commuting very angry and annoyed and very inconvenienced. Do you feel that it's going to have been worth it? Are you going to get what you're looking for?
Well, I'm an optimist. I'm an optimist at best, and eventually we're going to. What is happening just cannot. It's not sustainable. It's as simple as that. And talks on sustainability, if you leave one group outside, it's doomed to failure. So the talks on the beef plan talks on sustainability are doomed to failure from the start. Now, everybody sees different things. That's the cause of our problems with the very bad prices for our beef. And one group that's in there that didn't protest at all at the factory gates are in fact the IFA. So they haven't stated what their grievances are. So we have to wonder, why are they actually in the beef plan talks. Now, we see the IFOI, when we were on the protests, we blocked off most of the factories, and we couldn't understand why the shelves weren't becoming emptied. why there was still meat in the shelves. So we did our own bit of investigating, and we found that an awful lot of beef is actually being imported into this country.
Yes, the figures were given. One of the speakers tonight, I didn't quite catch his name, and he actually gave the official figures that had been released by Board Bia. And if I'm not mistaken, it was 700,000 tonnes, he said.
Unbelievable.
It was an unbelievable amount of beef.
Yes.
And he said that where is this beef going? There's no beef in the Irish supermarkets that's labelled as Polish beef. And there's no beef leaving Ireland that's labelled as Polish beef. So where is this beef going?
Well, from what we can gather is that it's been imported into this country, stamped here, and being sold in our supermarkets, and the some of it then being exported out of the country again with the Board Bia stamp on it. It's unbelievable what's going on, and this is the problem we have. And we went to the factories, we closed them down, and the next thing we found, the shelves were full. So we said we'd close down every factory and we'd see what would happen. So we went to a factory, with 70% of them closed down. And one of the factories we didn't close down was a factory in Bradford, in Meath, I think. And we met with the manager.
Now, we have to leave it at that, because this is something very specific to a specific factory. So we can't really, in fairness to that man, he's not here for me to get him to give me...
Well, we wouldn't be running him down.
No. Yes.
He actually
No,
was... Okay, no worries.
I would like him to be here in order for us to go there. Is that okay?
That's fine.
I know the point that you're making, Brendan, and in actual fact, I heard you making that very same point when you were interviewed during the last Tractorcade. You were interviewed on Liveline by Joe Duffy, and you made that point.
Yes.
And subsequent to that, he brought on a spokesperson for Board Bia, and really she was not able to contradict what you were saying.
No. Now, we have, in fairness to the people that organised this protest today, the individual farmers of Ireland, they have done tremendous work in researching. And what they have found now, and they have video evidence of it, is that there is packets of beef in retail outlets. And instead of saying the country of origin, it says the country of origin, and what you have then is a code. And the code is 0922. Slaughtered, country of origin 09022, country of slaughter 0922, right? And these people now, a girl, she's done tremendous work. Jolene is her name. I probably shouldn't have mentioned her name either, but it doesn't matter. We found out, or she's found out, that country is actually Poland. So instead of saying country of origin,
they just give a code.
So the ordinary consumer doesn't
actually know that it is Polish
that
meat.
This is Brazilian. Sorry, Brazilian beef.
Oh, it's Brazilian beef.
0922 is Brazil, and there's another code in for Poland, and there's codes for every other country.
Okay, well listen, Brendan, I'm going to leave it at that. Tomorrow promises to be a new day. The farmers speaking tonight from the platform left us in no doubt that if Leo Varadkar doesn't meet with them early tomorrow, there is going to be dire consequences. So fingers crossed that he does actually meet with the representatives of the individual farmers tomorrow. And it'll be a sad situation that if he doesn't, because that's basically his job is to meet with the people and try and get these things sorted out. Okay, so I hope you have a bed for the night, that you're not in your tractor. And thanks, Brendan. And I'm going to call over now on Seamus May. So Seamus is here to the side. So if you have just joined me, I'm here at the farm protest on Stephen's Green. We're just outside the Shelbourne Hotel. A tractorcade of about 400 tractors arrived here in the city in the afternoon and effectively shut down the city centre, causing huge inconvenience to Dublin people and to commuters. Pretty extreme. The farmers have come from all over Ireland, from Mayo, Galway, Limerick, Kerry, Wexford, and all the places in between. So today really is just the gathering, as it were. Tomorrow is actually going to be the day of consequences, and they have issued an ultimatum to Leo Varadkar to meet with them, and if that doesn't happen, then they have promised that there's going to be dire consequences. So I'm Seamus May here with me, and Seamus and I have soldiered together for the last couple of years. We were together. We're together on the Stop CETA Alliance of Ireland, which is still, by the way, CETA is very much alive. CETA is the trade deal with Canada. Most of it is now in place, but there is one aspect of it, the investor court system, which would allow multinational corporations to sue the Irish government for loss of profits in a court outside of the country. That part of the CETA has not been ratified by the Irish government, and so that will be an issue in the next Dáil. And so I would ask you, when politicians come knocking on your door, just put it to them that CETA will be the biggest surrender of our sovereignty since the signing of the Act of Union if they try to ratify it. Both Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael are on record as being in support of the CETA. So, Seamus, you and I, in September, travelled around the country speaking at factory gates. There were very impromptu meetings that were organised in a matter of hours, and hundreds of people turned up. I suppose I was just the warm-up act those nights, and you were one of the anchor men along with Alan Moran and Noel Long. As a result of those meetings, then yourself, Allo, and Noel were asked to be the
Well, we were the negotiators, stroke advisors to the Independent Farmers of Ireland, the IFOI. It all happened in early September. I got a phone call. I was asked to speak in Waterford, and a number of us turned up in Waterford, and we spoke very quickly after that in Rathdowney, and then Ballinasloe. And then, of course, there was the big meeting in Athlone where over 600 attended. And the IFOI elected the three of us as their negotiators and advisors to go as part of the Beef Task Force. If I could just explain, back in September when the negotiations started, what was called the Kildare Street negotiations, the IFOI, Independent Farmers of Ireland, were invited and took part in the negotiations, which culminated in the Kildare Street Agreement of September the 15th, of which the IFOI were signatories and parties to.
And at that time, IFOI, if I'm not mistaken, was chaired by Alison DeVere Hunt.
No, as far as I know, she was one of the negotiators at that time.
At that time, she led the negotiations.
But if you fast forward, then when part of one of the central planks of the Kildare Street Agreement was that the Beef Task Force would be set up, and the Beef Task Force was duly set up. But Minister Creed, for his own reasons, decided to expel the Independent Farmers of Ireland from the task force. I personally believe that the information and the level at which we're informed is something that the Minister and the Department and the IFA and everybody cannot deal with. There are serious issues going on in the farming sector. In fact, they're going on in every sector in this country. Successive governments have been selling out Irish people to multinationals, to criminal behaviour right across the board. It's going on in the banking sector, it's going on in the building materials sector, it's going on in the farming sector. And, it's a long, hard road. But these protests, people are meeting each other, information is coming out, and the scandal of what's been done to rural Ireland, it's just beyond belief. And we're facing into a general election now, and anyone that thinks there's going to be change, there's not. Like Micheál Martin, as you know, rejected our efforts to stop the CETA agreement,
yes.
As did Fine Gael. And be perfectly honest, we're going to have a number of Labour people, we're going to have the Greens, we're going to be back at where we started. So that's why these people, the individual farmers of Ireland, have organised so many people to come here today, and I suspect that this is only the very start. There's 350 odd tractors here, and I believe, knowing what's going on in this dysfunctional house down the road, Dáil Éireann, I believe that we will see 3,500 tractors and more, unless and until government moves. Farming, let's make no mistake about this now, the beef sector is totally and completely unsustainable. We have regulators such as the Competition Authority and the Company Law Enforcement Office, and they are dud, they are phony regulators, and that's why we're down in the beef talks, or that's why certain elements within the industry are down in the beef talks. There's no need for these beef task force talks if the Competition Authority was doing its job. Like, you take the 70 days, take the 30 month, all of these are anti-competitive, these result in market manipulation, and where is the Competition Authority?
Right, and also there's the issue of VAT, which favours the massive big feedlots that they have a huge competitive edge. These massive feedlots have huge competitive edge over the small family farm.
Yeah, we're learning more and more about the VAT model, which is basically the flat rate VAT, and where it meets the VAT registered outfits, which are the processors and some of the beef lots, etc. And like, the more we learn, the more this model has been put together to effectively screw farmers, primary producers, and put money into the pockets of the processors. A lot more will come out about that. We're trying to simplify it to explain it to people, because it is quite complex. But there is, and let me put this very clearly on the record, in relation to the poultry sector, there is criminal activity going on with regard to how the VAT system is being applied and worked in the poultry sector. And Minister Michael Creed knows this, and so does his assistants and his civil servants. And if you are aiding and abetting criminal activity, you are a criminal yourself, and you should be taken up and charged. And Michael Creed, that's what Michael Creed needs to be done. They need to take him in and question him and charge him with the criminal activity that's putting farmers off the land.
Well, he's gone now.
He is.
So there's nothing can be done about it.
Well, he can still be charged down the road. But yes, we're faced with a new Minister for Agriculture. God knows who that will be, or what interest they will have in the farmers. But look, Anna, I'm involved here. I'm helping and I'm supporting the independent farmers of Ireland. And I'm here. And I'm not surprised that it has come to this. And it's going to get worse. It's going to get a lot worse, because this group is the movement that Ireland needs. We've got to defend rural Ireland, or we won't have a rural Ireland, and like, we all know that.
Yeah, there was one speaker tonight, and he gave a very, very impressive speech, and he just referred to the fact that Amazon are building a huge data centre just outside Dublin. It will employ 30 people when it's completed, and it will require 5% of the electricity output of Ireland, which is going to drive up our carbon emissions. And in order to mitigate against that, the government is talking about planting trees. So in order to plant trees, they have to get the beef farmer off the land. And the point that he was making is that grass actually is a much greater sequester of carbon dioxide than trees. Mm-hmm. And also he spoke about farmers are very, very angry about the proposed green carbon taxes. It's going to put them out of business. They're looking at a litre of diesel of green diesel, which is used for agriculture, shooting up to €2 a litre. That is just unsustainable. No farmer will be able to pay a contractor to come in and make a silage and do his farm work for him with silage, with diesel costing that amount of money. So I think, Seamus, it's
all about putting small farmers out of business, and during this year there's going to be a lot of repossessions. The banks are moving in, and when they're finished with the beef sector, don't you worry, they will be in on top of the dairy sector, many of whom have borrowed heavily and they're dependent on the price of milk. So there's a huge crack we're putting out. We're closing the post offices, we're closing rural Ireland, we're closing the farmers. And good afternoon or good evening. So Anna, look at I know you want to finish up, but let me just say that. Let me just say that to me, looking in, this is the start, and for the next government, there's a wake-up call here. Don't go into Dáil Éireann and don't turn around and betray the people, which is what politicians for decades have been doing. They tell us what they're going to do and their promises locally in our constituencies, and then they go in and they're under the party whip, Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, Labour, the whole lot. So there's got to be very serious and substantial changes in how we're running this country, and the crowd here and the number of tractors here is evidence that this is what's going to happen.
That's the problem. The farmers are going to, on the 7th of February, by and large, farmers will do as farmers have always done, and they will go and they will vote Fianna Fáil and they'll vote Fine Gael. And it's as simple as they will be like turkeys voting for Christmas. So if you're a farmer and you're looking in tonight, and if you are thinking of voting for Fianna Fáil or Fine Gael, all I will say to you is that a turkey voting for Christmas, and I think you're just going to have to change your voting habits, your voting pattern, and give your vote to anybody but Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, and send out a very, very, very clear message. I think the electorate needs to send out a very, very strong message.
I think, Anna, it's got to be independence. I think the electorate will vote for independence. The party system, the party system is a cancer on Irish society, and it's proved it over and over again. So, people keep asking me, who do I vote for? I would say vote for viable independence, and let's get as many independents into Dáil Éireann as we can, and let's try and influence how this house down here is run going forward.
Leinster House. And I think we'll leave it at that. My thanks to Brendan Kelly and to Seamus May for chatting to me. I have to tell you that it is absolutely freezing here. Many of these farmers are actually going to be spending the night in their tractors. I don't know how they're going to do it. They will freeze to death before morning. Thank you so much for watching. Now, just a little bit of housekeeping. I have reached my maximum number of friends that I can have. So from time to time people unfriend me, and then I can just allow somebody in then as a friend. But don't worry about that. If you press the follow button, you'll get all of my posts, because everything that I put up on Facebook is actually public. So if you press the follow button, you'll always be notified when I put up a post, or it'll come up in your news feed. So thank you very much for watching. I'd also like to give a shout out to the Alliance of Birth Mothers Campaigning for Justice, because here tonight when I was among the farmers, several farmers came up to me and asked me, Anna, what's the story with Tusla? So it is actually an issue that farmers have become very aware of from following me on Facebook. So you can follow the new initiative, My Story, the Women's Own Stories. We'll be putting up a story every day. Please read the story and please share it. And thank you very much.